Hello and welcome to Afghanistan News Today. Today is Tuesday, the 3rd of December 2024. Ban on female education in medical institutes. Complete erasure of women and girls from Afghanistan's education system. The interim government have recently issued a directive prohibiting female education in medical institutes across Afghanistan until further notice. According to the report, officials from medical institutions in Kabul and other provinces confirmed that the Ministry of Public Health issued the order under the directive of the interim government leader, Hibatullah Akhundzada. In an audio message to female students, an official warned that if girls are found attending these institutions, both public and private medical institutes would be shut down. Consequently, female students have been instructed not to attend classes until further notice. This decision follows previous bans that barred girls from attending schools beyond the 6th grade and universities. These measures have deprived more than 1.5 million girls of education. With this latest move, the opportunity to study in medical institutes, considered a last resort for many Afghan girls, has now been taken away. Several students shared their disappointment, revealing how their families struggled to pay for their education despite severe financial challenges. Some were just a semester or a year away from completing their studies. Now, all their efforts and hopes have been shattered. One student said she enrolled in a private medical institute after being barred from university education, hoping to continue learning. These institutes were our last hope, but even that has been taken away by the interim government, she lamented. This move signifies the culmination of a systematic effort by the interim government to exclude women from Afghanistan's education system entirely, leaving millions of women and girls with no opportunities for education or a hopeful future. In a new report, Matthew Miller. We pressure the interim government over discriminatory policies against women. Matthew Miller, the spokesperson for the U.S. State Department, emphasized that Washington's stance on the interim government remains clear. According to Afghanistan News Today report, Miller made these remarks during a press briefing on Monday, December 2nd. He stated, "I believe we have made our position on the interim government and their abuses against their own people, particularly women and girls in Afghanistan, abundantly clear." Previously, the U.S. State Department spokesperson had highlighted during another press conference that the interim government continued to impose restrictions on women and girls. He added that the United States is working with its allies to pressure the interim government for their discriminatory policies against women and girls. According to Miller, any significant progress toward normalizing relations with the interim government depends on the group's improvement in its treatment of Afghan women and girls. U.S. officials have reiterated that the interim government will not be recognized unless they form an inclusive government and respect human rights, especially the rights of women and girls in Afghanistan. In another report, Kabul, Afghanistan. Robert C. Dixon, the UK's charge d'affaires to Afghanistan, on Tuesday expressed deep concern over reports that the interim government have banned women from pursuing medical education, describing the decision as a significant blow to women's rights and access to health care in the country. "I am deeply concerned about new reports that the interim government will deny medical education to women in Afghanistan," Dixon said in a statement. "This is another affront to women's right to education and will further restrict access to health care for Afghan women and children. A decision against education and health care." According to the interim government's new directive, women are barred from attending medical and semi-professional institutes, effectively closing one of the last remaining paths for Afghan women to pursue higher education. This move has sparked widespread criticism from human rights advocates, who warn that it will exacerbate Afghanistan's healthcare crisis. The country is already facing a severe shortage of female medical professionals, a critical issue in a society where cultural norms often prevent women from being treated by male doctors. Further restrictions on women. Since their return to power in August 2021, the interim government have systematically restricted women's access to education, barring girls from attending secondary schools and universities. The new ban on medical education has now eliminated all avenues for Afghan women to access higher education. Dixon's statement adds to the growing international condemnation of the interim government's restrictive policies on women. Human rights organizations and foreign governments have repeatedly urged the interim government to reverse these bans on women's education and employment, warning of significant social and economic consequences. The ban comes amid Afghanistan's deepening humanitarian crisis, with millions of people struggling to access basic services such as health care, food, and other essentials. In another report from Afghanistan News Today, World Food Program, 1 in 4 families in Afghanistan faces food insecurity. Shafaqna, Afghanistan. The World Food Program (WFP) reports that with the arrival of winter, millions in Afghanistan are facing severe hardships, with 1 in 4 families struggling to secure sufficient food. According to Afghanistan News Today report, the WFP published a report on Sunday, December 1st, highlighting that millions across Afghanistan are battling food insecurity. The organization stated it needs $680 million for the next 6 months to sustain its activities, including aid for the most vulnerable families across the country. The report indicates that in the first half of the current year, the WFP managed to reach 1 million people monthly with food assistance, leaving 11 million others in need without support. Since the interim government's return to power, the report notes that the economic situation for impoverished families in Afghanistan has worsened. More than 3 years into interim government rule, contrary to the group's claims, hunger has increased and unemployment continues to rise. The WFP also stated yesterday that it has provided cash and food assistance to 10.5 million people in Afghanistan over the past year. Thanks for being with Afghanistan News Today. Till next latest news, have a good time. Goodbye.